Dramatic Monologue Workshop. My name is Fred Sullivan. I've been teaching on every Monday night for the past years at the Gamm, and we have gone online for the past 3 classes, and they have been extraordinary. So there's good news for those of us who are trapped in our homes and trying to be artistic. This has been a glorious, glorious joy. So we are going to start off right away. We have 15 monologues. I don't think we're going to keep you much more than an hour. So hang in there with us. You're going to see some great stuff. The actors have been amazing. We're going to start off with Maria in a beautiful play by Terrence McNally, who we just lost to Corona, called Lips Together, Teeth Apart. This is Maria.
I think there's something you should know about me, all of you. I think it is precisely the small things that I run on about that seem to annoy you so. You know, the little day-to-day details, the nuances that give our life some zip and some meaning. I mean, I care about cooking the burgers so that each of you gets exactly what you asked for. I worry about who's going to drive the children's carpool that particular week. I notice what's going on around me. Every detail, I don't miss a thing. I talk too much. You know, probably because it's too horrible to think about what's actually going on. You should try it. But you think you're so superior. Well, maybe you are, but to whom? Me? Oh, honey. Just about anyone superior to me. You're going to have to try a lot harder than that if you want to keep up that attitude. You know, I'm not mad at any of you, really. I think we're all pathetic.
Really nice. I love that, Terrence McNally, and I love that, Maria. So now we're going to look at a play by Craig Lucas called Reckless. It's a wonderful play for those of you who are looking for something new to read, and an old friend for those of you who have already read it. So we're going to hear from the mother character, Rachel, and then we're going to hear from her son, 2 monologues for the price of 1. And here is Courtney as Rachel in Craig Lucas's
There's really no problem. No, I don't know. I don't know. About Christmas, I guess. Well, last Christmas, Christmas Eve, my husband, Tom, is all tucked into bed like a little kid, and our 2 boys are in their beds. I've just tucked them in, and I tell Tom how perfect it all seems. I've never been so happy, which is true. And well, my father was allergic to dogs, you know, and Tom didn't like puppies. And I never said anything about wanting a puppy, but I was thinking about it, and I was looking out into the snow and talking about Alaska or something, but I was thinking about how people in books and movies are always getting puppies on Christmas, and you never see anybody having to clean up the shit or get hit by cars. I mean, you always see them with a big red bow, and the kids are smiling, but I didn't say anything. I was just thinking it because I didn't want Tom to feel guilty if he hadn't gotten me a puppy, which I knew he hadn't because he hates them. So it was just this private little something I was thinking about, and that's all I really needed was to think about it and rub its imaginary little ears, and we were watching the news, and I remember suddenly Tom's upset. So naturally I assume he knows I really want a puppy. So I go to comfort him because like, I don't care about it. Like really, if it's gonna make him happy, I don't even mention it. And I just give him this big hug and I tell him it's Christmas and be happy. And he says that he's taken a contract out on my life. And maybe I'm overreacting or he's kidding, which Like, I think he must be. But anyway, I wind up spending Christmas with this man I meet at an Arco station and his girlfriend who's crippled and deaf. And well, she says, with hand signals until suddenly she just turns to me and starts saying how she had to pretend she was deaf to get the attention of this man that we're all living with, who's changed his name and run away, and she's changed her name, and I've changed my name, and we're all working in the same place, and she's telling me all of these secrets, and all of a sudden she says, well, why don't you talk to a psychiatrist? And here I am.
Brava. Excellent. I love that play, and I adore you. And now we're going to go to Luke as your son, which is Tom Jr. in Reckless.
My mother, the one, ran away like on Christmas. So the next year, our father, leaves us with friends. So he says because he's going to bring our mother back because I don't know. And instead he gets killed by, it probably had something to do, it may have had something to do, with this whole scandal. Anyway, he died. And they said our mother was involved, but they were never able to find her, and so we were raised, my brother and I, by these neighbors, and they were really nice. And then my brother disappeared when he was 12, and we didn't hear anything for a long time, and then he called, and he said he found this woman in California, and she was going to pay or something, and he guessed he just got freaked out, and he shot this lady on some talk show around Christmas time. I don't know. I mean, they didn't convict him, but I kind of thought I'd get away, I mean, Alaska seemed like the place. Not really. They have Christmas here, too. I don't have any memories of my mother. Oh, yeah, I do. One. But, I mean, I think I dreamed it. Well, it's Christmas, and she's like reaching up, putting something up on the tree or something, and she's really, she looks happy, and everything's bright, and she's all in a glow, and she looks right at me and says, "How's that?" Like that. And I don't know, I just said it, "Lousy, you're fired." I was just kidding, but sometimes it seems like that was the start of everything. It's like I hurt her feelings or something, and she left, and my father and brother left, and I keep feeling like if I could just go back to that time, and she would turn to me and, all lit up and say, "How's that?" And I'd say, "Beautiful, Mom." Because it was like for 1 second I wanted to spoil everything. Everybody was too happy and I was too excited, but I would take it back. I would take it all back because I didn't mean it. No, but I can't. It's like I can't wake up. I just know. I feel if I could wake up, we'd all be there around the tree, and my mom and my dad would take care of me, and I keep pinching myself and pinching, just trying to wake up, and I just keep wishing for some place where it's always Christmas.
Great job, Luke. Great job. So those two were from Reckless by Craig Lucas. We're now going to go to Neil LaButeland. So Neil LaBute wrote Reasons to be Pretty, and Alex is going to do a monologue from that.
I'm very attractive. I am. I've always been that way, but it's not a great big deal to me. If anything, it's worked against me for most of my life. Example. Have you ever walked through some store, a supermarket? You're in a hurry and you're moving along, picking up some milk or an item or two like that, while some loser guy is following you the whole time around the place? Seriously. With a cart and maybe even a kid in it. but he keeps showing up in the same sections you're in, or you can see him all the way down the other end, just coincidentally passing through the spots that you're at. And that's not all, because he finds a way to get in the same checkout as you and do the small talk, and even tries to help you out to the car. Whatever he can do. It's weird. It's so gross. It's upsetting. It's enough to make you throw up sometimes. I've done that before. I pulled over and vomited by the roadside all because some man made me so nervous. And I've been followed too. Not just out to my car, but all the way home. Slowly going along behind me to see where I live or work, or to the mall from store to store in front of people. This happens so much. And for what? Because I'm great or smart or have this wonderful and witty way about me? No. How can anyone know that from chasing me around a Safeway? They couldn't. It has nothing to do with me. It's about this. My face. I was born with it, people. I don't do anything to it. I rarely put on makeup. I haven't had any work done to it like some women do in bigger cities. I've been given this thing to wear around and I'm stuck with it. And yes, over the years, it's gotten me things. I won't lie about that. Dates and into clubs I really wanted to get into, or smiles from my father. But as I got older, it suddenly became sort of a, I don't know what, but almost like a problem, a real bother that I don't have any control over. And listen, I'm not stupid. I know I should be happy and pray to heaven and be thankful that I'm not scarred or missing an ear. I know some women who despise their mouths and their noses, or the fact that their eyes are too far out on their faces. I don't have any of those problems, and I'm happy about that. I look into the mirror and I see a beautiful woman staring back at me, smiling. And I'm not saying I don't understand how I got lucky in many ways. I do get that, I do. I want folks to comprehend that beauty comes with a price, just like ugly does. A different one, of course, and I'll take what I've got, but I have cried myself to sleep at night because of who I am as well, and you should know that. I hope my baby's okay. I really do. With all her organs and things in place. Did I mention it's a girl? It is. And you look at that monitor machine they use, and you know you're having a kid, but she's still a mystery. What it will be like, and the name and the birth date and who she might look like, all that. But I really hope that she's no more than pretty. That's my wish. That she's not some beauty queen that people can't help staring at, because I'd hate that for her. To be some object, something that people can't help gawking at, because if she is born like I was, is what I'm saying, if she has some sort of face that is some magnet for men the way that I've been, I'd almost rather it be a situation where she was oblivious to it. Not blind or anything, but close. Some sort of oblivion that gets pasted over her eyes so she can go about life and not be aware that people are cruel in many ways, and not just with the ways that they look at you, but with the ways that they desire you and almost hate you because of it, to want you and to know that they can't have you, so hate or wish to hurt you, and all because of how a bunch of things inside of you collided, atoms, cells, whatnot, genes. I'm sorry. I don't mean to get all heavy or anything, but I do think about it sometimes. my shifts at work's kind of long, so I have some time on my hands to whatever. Think, I guess.
All my life, I have loved watching people act, and I love watching these students act. I'm thrilled with this. Charlie was keeping his friends guessing about what material he was going to work on. Well, this is Reasons to Be Happy, which is kind of the sequel or companion piece by the same author of Reasons to Be Pretty. So here is Charlie doing Reasons to Be Happy.
Okay, what I was trying to say was that I don't like this idea of choosing a life that has either you in it or people being mad or sad. None of us want that. None of us want that at all. So I'm here, I'm drawing a line in the sand. Obviously, there's no line, but you understand what I'm trying to say. This is it. I'm stopping the bullshit right here. I want to start over. I want to do this right. You see, I'm going to be teaching at this amazing school, and my mind was going like a million miles an hour. Do you want to know what I was thinking over the last couple of days? Honestly, I wanted to take you both with me. Both. Not romantically, no, not romantically, but as people that I love and people that I cherish and want to see good things happen to. I mean, why not? Why can't we just pack it up and get out of this town and just make a new life for ourselves? But then I realized that's just me wanting it all, both of you. And I have no right to do that. Hell, I can't even properly take care of myself. I can't expect either of you guys to do that, huh? I mean, obviously I don't. But, I almost got to that place, where I could just fantasize of us just waltzing out of here, laughing, and that's all it was. It was just a fantasy. But no, not a sexual fantasy. No, it was, I gotta choose me. I gotta be alone right now. I can't be with people, at least not in that way. Things have been said and or done, and I just, oh God, there's gotta be a better way to do this. Could be the right way. Okay. I like us when we're at our best. And right now, in this fucking place where I spent most of my life, that's why I asked you guys to meet me here. This place is so symbolic of the person I could have been or was gonna be. And hell, I don't even know what I want to be now. But I know that's not it. I want to be happy. Happy. I don't even know what that means anymore. What is it? You can't touch it or taste it. I don't know what the hell is happiness. But I know I want it. I want to get to that place, a happy place, and I want to be able to sit down for a few minutes and sit and just do what it is that happy people do. And hopefully that will get me ready for the next steps. And then the step after that, and anything that's after that. But if you're still here, who knows?
Lovely, Charlie. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Thornton Wilder, who wrote Our Town, which we all know, wrote a play called Skin of Our Teeth, which a lot of us don't know. It's this incredibly symbolic, wild journey where Act 1 is the Ice Age, and then Act 2 is a war, and Act 3 is kind of Armageddon. So since we're going through a war in Armageddon, it seems every day now, we thought we should have Courtney work as Sabina the maid at the very end of Skin of Our Teeth.
Mrs. Antrobus, will you need me? Mrs. Antrobus, if it's all right with you, I'd like to go to the bonfire and celebrate seeing the war is over. And Mrs. Antrobus, they've opened the Gem movie theater and they're giving away a hand-painted soup tureen to every lady. And I thought one of us ought to go. You don't need any money. They're taking anything you can give them. And I have some Mrs. Antrobus, you promise me you won't tell anyone. It's a little against the law, but I'll give you some too. Yesterday, I picked up a lot of beef cubes. Mrs. Antrobus, I didn't make this war. I didn't ask for it. And in my opinion, after anybody has gone through what we've gone through, they have a right to grab what they can find. You're a very nice man, Mr. Antrobus, but you'd have got on better in the world if you realized that dog eat dog was the rule in the beginning and always will be, and most of all now. The world is an awful place. And you know it is. And I used to think something could be done about it, but I know better now and I hate it. I hate it. All right, you can have them. Can I have just one? Go to the movies. Thank you. Mr. Antrobus, don't mind what I say. I'm just an ordinary girl. You know what I mean? I'm just an ordinary girl, but you're a bright man. You're a very bright man. And of course, you invented the alphabet and the wheel and my God, a lot of things. And if you've got any other plans, like, my God, don't let me upset them. Only every now and then, I've got to go to the movies. I mean, my nerves, they can't stand it. But if you have any ideas about improving the crazy old world, I'm really with you. I really am, because it's good night.
Brava, brava. Yay. What a sensational job. Great, Courtney. That was fantastic. One of my favorite plays in the world, which I've always wanted to direct, is The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie. And Kathy was looking for a second monologue. You'll see her first one later in tonight's proceedings. But right now, her second monologue was Miss Jean Brodie. So here she is. Miss Mackay has pulled her into the office to warn her that she might lose her job if she continues in this fashion. And this is her answer.
I will not resign, and you will not dismiss me, Miss Mackay. I will not allow you to exercise on me your warped compulsion to persecute. I will not be slandered, hounded, and you will not use that pathetic, that humorous document to bully and blackmail me into resigning. Mr. Lowther, you are witness to this. Miss Markey has made unsupported accusations against my good name and yours. If you have one shred of evidence, just one, let you bring it forth. Otherwise, if I hear one more outrageous calumny, then I shall sue. I shall sue Miss Markey in the public courts, and I shall sue the trustees of Marcia Blaine's school if they support her. I will not allow myself to be crucified by a woman whose fetid frustrations have overcome her judgment. If scandal is to your taste, Miss Markey, then I shall give you a feast. I am a teacher. I am a teacher. First, last, always. If you think for one moment that I shall let that be taken from me, I will not allow that to be taken. I will not stand by like an inky little slacker and let you rob that. And for what reason? For jealousy? Because I have the gift of claiming girls for my own? Yes, I am a strong influence on my girls, and I am proud of it. I am able to influence them to see all of the beauty in the world, the beauty, the honor, the courage. I do not, Miss Maki, influence them to see the ugliness and the slime where it does not exist. My girls shall be returning from recreation, and I shall return to the classroom. They shall find me composed and prepared to introduce to them the succession of the Stuarts. And on Sunday, I shall visit Mr. Lowther at Cramond. We are accustomed, bachelor and spinster, to spending time together in sailing, walking the beaches, and in the pursuit of music. Mr. Lowther is teaching me the mandolin. Good day, Miss Mackay.
Oh, how much do I love that. Good, good, good. Oh, these are good monologues. Arthur Miller wrote a play called All My Sons, and then he went to go, and it was a big hit, and then it all took place in front of the house. It was very realistic. And then he went to go see Tennessee Williams' Streetcar Named Desire, and all bets were off. It's all kind of how the mind works rather than how things happen in real life. And he started to get the idea to go inside a man's head, and he wrote Death of a Salesman. The next two monologues are Willie Loman and his son Biff Loman, and they talk about the American dream. Here we go, Frank O'Donnell's Willie, and he's going to take it away.
Business is definitely business, but just listen for a minute. You don't understand this. See, when I was a boy, 18, 19, I was already on the road. And there was a question in my mind as to whether selling had a future for me. Because in those days, I had a yearning to go to Alaska. See, there were 3 gold strikes in 1 month in Alaska. I felt like going out, just for the ride, you might say. My father lived many years in Alaska. He was an adventurous man. We've got quite a little streak of self-reliance in our family. I thought I'd go out with my older brother and try to locate him and maybe settle in the north with the old man. And I was almost decided to go when I met a salesman in the Parker house. His name was Dave Singelman. He was 84 years old, and he had drummed merchandise in 31 states. And old Dave, he'd go up to his room, you understand? He'd put on his green velvet slippers, I'll never forget, and pick up his phone and call the buyers. And without ever leaving his room at the age of 84, he made his living. When I saw that, I realized that selling was the greatest career a man could want. Because what could be more satisfying than to be able to go at the age of 84 into 20 or 30 different cities and pick up a phone and be remembered and loved and helped by so many different people? Do you know? Yeah, when he died, by the way, he died the death of a salesman. In his green velvet slippers and the smoker of the New York, New Haven, and Hartford going into Boston. When he died, hundreds of salesmen and buyers were at his funeral. Things were sad on a lot of trains for months after that. See, in those days, there was personality in it, Howard. There was respect and comradeship and gratitude in it. Today, it's all cut and dried. There's no chance for bringing friendship to bear or personality. You see what I mean? They don't know me anymore. If I had $40 a week, that's all I'd need. $40, Howard. You know, the year Al Smith was nominated, your father came to me. I'm talking about your father, Howard. There were promises made across this desk. I put 34 years into this firm, Howard, and now I can't pay my insurance. You can't eat the orange and then throw the peel away. A man is not a piece of fruit. Now pay attention. Your father, in 1928, I had a big year. I averaged $170 a week in commissions. $170 a week in the year of 1928. And your father came to me, or rather, I was in this office here. It was right over this desk, and he put his hand on my shoulder. Frank, don't you remember what you told me that time? What the hell did I say to him? My God, I was yelling at him. How could I? Frank, don't you remember what you told me that time? How you put your hand on my shoulder and... Frank?
Well done. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful work. And now, without further ado, Charlie's going to do Willie's Hope for the Future, his son, Biff.
No one's hanging themselves, Willie. You know, I ran down 11 flights with a pen in my hand today. And suddenly I stopped. You hear me? I stopped in the middle of that office building. Do you hear this? I stopped in the middle of that office building and I saw the sky. I saw all the things I love in this world, the work and the food and the time to sit and smoke. And I just looked at that pen and I said, what the hell am I grabbing this for? Why am I stuck in an office building making a contemptuous begging fool of myself when all I want is out there just waiting for me to say I know who I am? Why can't I say that, Willie? Pop, I'm a dime a dozen. I'm not a leader of men. Neither are you. You are nothing ever more than a hard-working drummer of a man that got thrown in the ash can like the rest of them. I'm $1 an hour, Willie. I tried 7 different states. I couldn't raise it. $1 an hour. Do you gather my meaning? I'm not bringing home any prizes anymore, Pop. And you gotta stop waiting for me to bring them home. Pop, I'm nothing! I'm nothing, Pop. There's nothing to it anymore. There's no spite in it. That's it. That's all I am. Will you let me go, Pop? Will you just let me go, for Christ's sake? Will you throw away that phony dream and burn it before something else happens? I'll go in the morning. Just get him to bed.
How great. How great. Great job, Charlie. Really happy with that. Courtney had a couple of short ones, so I asked her to do a third. This is from The Real Thing by Tom Stopper. This is Courtney as Charlotte.
There's something touching about you, Henry. Everybody should be like you, just not interested. It used to bother me that you were never bothered. Even when I got talked into doing that dreadful nudie film because it was in Italian. And Italian films were supposed to be art. Oh my God, that dates me, doesn't it? Debbie's into Australian films. Australian, like not Chips Rafferty, actual films. Well, it didn't bother you. So I decided it meant you were having it off right, left, and center, and it wasn't supposed to matter. And by the time I realized that you were the last romantic, it was too late. I found out it didn't matter. There are no commitments, only bargains, and they have to be made again every day. And you think making a commitment is it. It's finished. You think that it sets like a concrete platform and it'll take any strain you want to put on it. Oh, but you're committed. You don't have to prove anything. In fact, you can afford a little neglect. Indulge in a little bit of sarcasm here and there. Isolate yourself when you want to. And underneath the concrete, it's concrete for life. I am a cow in some ways, but you're an idiot. Were an idiot.
Great job. I'm a big fan of Courtney's. Yay. So, all right. Peter Schaffer wrote 3 plays with the same theme between the id, the ego, and God. That was the triangle. And you'll know Amadeus, and you may not know The Royal Hunt of the Sun, but this might be the most famous one. This is from Equus. Luke has been an excellent student. He's unmuted now, and we're ready to go. Here's Luke in Equus.
That's what you want to know, isn't it? Alright, it was. I'm talking about the beach. The time when I was a kid, what I told you about. I was pushed forward on the horse. There was sweat on my legs from his neck, and, the fellow held me tight and let me turn the horse which way I wanted, and, all that power going any way I wanted. His sides were warm, and the smell. And then, suddenly I was on the ground where Dad pulled me. I mean, I could have bashed him. Something else. I mean, when the horse first appeared, I looked up into his mouth, and it was huge, and there was this chain in it, and the fellow pulled it, and cream dripped out, and I said, "Does it hurt?" And he said, the horse said, it was always the same after that. I mean, every time I heard one clop by, I had to run and see, up a country lane or anywhere. I mean, they sort of pulled me. I couldn't take my eyes off them just to watch their skins, the way their necks twist and sweat shines in the folds. I can't remember when it started. Mom reading to me about Prince, who no one could ride except for one boy, or the white horse in Revelations. He that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. His eyes were as flames of fire, and he had a name written that no man knew but himself. Words like reins, stirrups, flanks, dashing his spurs against his chargers, flanks, dashing his spurs against his chargers' flanks. I mean, even the words made me feel years I never told anyone. I mean, Mom, she wouldn't understand. She likes equitation. I mean, bowler hats and jog spurs. My grandfather dressed for the horse. She said, what do you mean? The horse isn't dressed. It's the most naked thing you ever saw, more than a dog or a cat or anything. I mean, even the most broken down old nag has got its life. To put a bowler on it, it's filthy. I mean, putting them through their paces, bloody Jim Hawkins, no one understands. Except for cowboys. They do. No, I wish I was a cowboy. They're free. They just swing up and it's miles of grass, and I bet all cowboys are orphans. I bet they are. Nobody says to cowboys, receive my meaning. They wouldn't dare. Or God all the time. God sees you, Alan. God's got eyes where I'm not doing anymore. I hate this. You can whistle for any more. I have had it.
Luke has taken 3 classes this summer. He is magnificent. Luke, that was beautiful. Really, really nice. Bill Kane used to run the Boston Shakespeare Company when I was a teenager, and I fell in love with Shakespeare, and I fell in love with Bill Kane. He wrote a play called Equivocation, which is about the gunpowder plot and Guy Fawkes Day, but mostly it's about Shakespeare. And then it jumps time, and the last scene is with Shakespeare's daughter after he is dead. And we find out that what she thinks about his work and his fatherhood. All right, here we go. This is Alex with Equivocation as Shakespeare's daughter.
My father. My father wrote very little after the Scottish play. He doctored plays until the end, but he only wrote 6 more of his own. The last 4 were fairly odd plays. They were comedies that ended in wars, tragedies that ended in marriages. They're awful. Still, better than what he wrote for my brother. Hamlet, 7 soliloquies. I buried him, as I had my brother, and then my mother, and then my sister. They all had the same story, those last plays. A father throws away his daughter, and nothing will ever be right until he gets her back. They're full of impossible coincidences, miraculous statues, pirates, shipwrecks, and bears. Resurrections. The last plays are completely unbelievable. They're the kind of stories lonely daughters told themselves on cold, sleepless nights when they think no one is listening. Audiences love them. They cried. They believe them. Audiences, they'll believe anything. And I believe them too. Every word. I never knew I had a story of my own until he told it.
That makes me so happy on every possible level. It was excellent, excellent, excellent. Good, good, good. We have 3 left. So it's 17 minutes to 8, and I think we're in great shape. Probably one of the greatest plays written in this last decade is A Good People by David Lindsay Bear. And I've always wanted to see Kathy, who has taken many classes, work on this. And she's been an honor and a delight to watch work on it. So here she is in Good People. This is Kathy.
Well, I chose to take care of the baby because that's what people did. I got a job. I got a bunch of jobs, in fact. And every one of them sucked because what kind of job could I get? Not much of a choice there either, I'm afraid. And I lost most of those jobs. Why? Usually because I was late. I didn't choose to be late. Shit happened. Sometimes it was Joyce. Sometimes it was the tea. I had my car taken because I missed a payment. Why did I miss a payment? I missed a payment because I had to pay for a dentist instead. And why did I have to pay for a dentist? No, Mikey, I've done this 100 times in my head. It's time you heard it too. I had to pay for a dentist because I don't have insurance and I broke a tooth. And I ignored it for 6 months until an abscess formed. And why did I break a tooth? I broke a tooth because one night I tried to save some money, so I skipped dinner. But I got hungry, so I snacked on candy brittle instead. And that's all it took. One fucking piece of candy brittle and I was out of a job again. And if it's not the candy brittle, it's always something. It's Joyce's medication, or it's my phone getting cut off, or it's Russell Gillis breaking in my house and stealing my goddamn microwave. And you want to talk to me about choices? While you sit there and you practically break your arm trying to pat yourself on the back for everything you've accomplished. Yeah, okay, you made some good ones, right? But you're wrong if you think everybody's got them. In fact, the only choice I ever really had was breaking up with you. And yeah, I thought about it a million times. What would life be like if I didn't break up with Mikey Dillon? Well, maybe I wouldn't have met up with Gobi, and maybe I would have finished school, and maybe this, it would have been my house.
Great. Greatness. Greatness. Thank you, Cavi, so much. It was superb. So, one of my favorite places, Inherit the Wind. And I got to direct it once, and Frank was in it. And then I thought, oh my God, there's such poetry and size and beauty in this language. I would love to see Frank work on it. So this is Frank O'Donnell as Colonel Drummond in Inherit the Wind.
I'll tell you what's holy to me: the individual human mind. In a child's power to master the multiplication table, there is more sanctity than all of your shouted amens, holy holies, and hosannas. An idea is a greater monument than a cathedral. And the advance of man's knowledge is more a miracle than any sticks turned to snakes or the parting of waters. But are we now to halt the march of progress because Mr. Brady frightens us with a fable? Gentlemen, progress has never been a bargain. You've got to pay for it. Sometimes I think there's a man behind a counter who says, all right, you can have a telephone, but you'll have to give up privacy, the charm of distance. Madam, you may vote, but you lose the right to retreat behind a powder puff or a petticoat. Mister, you may conquer the air, but the birds will lose their wonder, and the clouds will smell of gasoline. Darwin moved us forward to a hilltop where we could look back and see the way from which we came. But for this view, this insight, this knowledge, we must abandon our faith in the pleasant poetry of Genesis. You say faith is the important thing. Then why did God plague us with the power to think? Mr. Brady, why do you deny the one faculty which lifts man above all other creatures on the earth, the power of his brain to reason? What other merit have we? The elephant is larger, the horse stronger and swifter, the butterfly more beautiful, the mosquito more prolific. Even the simple sponge is more durable. Do you think a sponge thinks? If the Lord wants a sponge to think, it thinks. Well, shouldn't a man have the same privilege that a sponge does? This man wishes the same privilege as a sponge. This man wishes to think.
Bravo, Frank. Well done. Great, great, great job. Susie and I were just talking today about fall classes, and we talked about an audition monologue workshop for anyone who wants to work on monologues, or anybody wants to work on auditions, and that's starting on September 21st, we believe. Keep checking the Gamm website, but we believe that will be 7 weeks, and we'll start online because it's not safe to all get in the same room yet. But we look forward to it. So it's going to start on September 21st and go till November 4th, 6:30 to 9:30 on Monday nights. On the last day that you could be in New York and watch a theater piece, I believe I was watching The Inheritance. It's a great, great, great long 2-night play. When Maria decided to sign up for this class, I wanted to give her something extraordinarily special, and we have been honored to watch her work on this for the past 5-6 weeks. It's just been a pleasure. It's an amazing piece of writing, and she's an amazing actress. So this is our last monologue for the night, and it's by Matthew Lopez and his play, which is a masterpiece, The Inheritance.
They died by the thousands, my dear, by the tens of thousands. Americans have never been squeamish about death. We've buried soldiers on battlefields over the centuries, weathered floods and storms and earthquakes, fought cancer and polio and tuberculosis, and yet 30 years ago, we turned a blind eye to the deaths of tens of thousands of our fellow countrymen. Why were so many men allowed to die this way? Well, I think it's because these men's illness required that Americans think about the means by which they contracted it. It required Americans to look at gay men and accept their nature, accept their affection, their desire for one another is equal to their own. Most Americans couldn't do that. No. In their disgust, they looked away. They made themselves deaf to the cries of so many of their fellow citizens. Walter came here to escape the plague, but the plague followed him anyway. It walked up to his doorstep, and instead of closing the door on it, Walter welcomed it in. For years, men came to this house in need of care, and Walter took them in. He could not heal their bodies, but he tried to alleviate their suffering. He allowed them to leave this world with the kind of dignity they had long been denied while living in it. I know this because one of the men who came here to die was my son. His name was Michael. I was 17 when I had him, far too young to be given any responsibility, let alone motherhood. News of my condition was not met with joy. You know, had we been Catholic, we might have blamed it on Immaculate Conception, but we were Southern Baptists, so we blamed it on bourbon. You've never seen a girl as frightened as I was the day Michael came into this world. I would stare at him as he slept, putting my fingers in his tiny hands, which he would grab onto with such strength. Oh, that grip, that unwillingness to let go astonished me. I mean, this helpless creature encountering another human, grasping onto them, holding onto them so tightly as if fearing that to let go would risk never being held again. Well, it was the first time in my life I understood that I was needed. It was the first time in my life I truly felt loved. Michael and I were both children when he was born, only 17 years apart in age. And I don't think I raised him as much as we raised each other. Michael saved me. And the great tragedy of my life is that I was not able to do the same for him. Michael was an effeminate child. We called it sensitive, of course. Others had less compassionate words. There were two things I would pray about Michael every night. God, please protect him. God, please don't let him be queer. High school was hard for him. Michael was picked on, bullied, at times even beaten. My husband bought Michael a set of weights. Michael grew muscles. He stopped being picked on. By the time he was 18 and announced that he was moving to New York, he was 6'3" and weighed 220 pounds of pure, solid muscle. Well, I sent him out into the world certain that, however effeminate he might be, at least his imposing physique would keep the queers away. What the hell did I know? The night before he left, Michael and I stayed up late talking. I kept putting off sleep, knowing that morning would bring with it his departure. I told him to find a church when he got there and find himself a nice girl, getting good with her family, I said. At least that way you get a decent meal every now and again. And then he told me, and I'll never forget the look of calm, knowing certainty as he did. He said that there wouldn't be any girls for him, at least not in the way that I meant. Mama, he said, I'm homosexual. I'm going to New York to fall in love. Well, that was all I could bear to listen to. No, I told him. No, you're confused. You're afraid. You're still so very young. In truth, I was the one who was afraid of losing him, afraid he'd be harmed, afraid for his soul. And so I did what others had done to Michael his entire life. I attacked him. I told him he could not be my son and be like that. I told him he would die of disease or violence. I told him he would spend eternity in hell. And do you know what he told me? That it was better than spending his life in South Carolina. I admire the moxie now, but that night I wanted to hit him. My only consolation is that I didn't. But the damage had been done. I was no longer his mother, his protector, his one safe person in the world. At that moment, I was no better and no less dangerous than all the people who took grim pleasure in abusing and taunting him. If I had known that night that he would only live another 7 years, I would have taken him in my arms and told him I loved him. I would have slipped my hand into his fist just like I did when he was a baby. But I didn't do that. I went to bed. I cried and I prayed. And by the time I woke up the next morning, Michael was gone. I didn't see him again until the day I walked into this house.
Thank you. Thank you so much. What class has ever been better than this one? The answer, never, nothing, no one. I have loved this like you wouldn't believe. These people are extraordinarily talented. Thank you so much for joining us to support their gorgeous work. I want to remind you that September 21st is the next class. That's the audition monologue workshop, and we'll have a lot more fun like we did with this. And I want to thank Lisa and Carrie for being in this Zoom with us. They had the connection to be here with us while the rest of you went through the page and are watching that. And we're going to say goodnight to you now, but one more round of applause for this extraordinary work. Really, really great. We did it in an hour. So thanks so much, guys. Thank you very much. Good night.